straight loss for the Clippers, who now have lost 8 straight at home. The Clippers haven't won a home game since October 31st against New Orleans. The loss to Memphis drops the Clippers to 6-20. If it wasn't for a 5-22 New Orleans, the Clippers would be at the bottom of the Western Conference. The Lakers are off until Thursday night in Utah at 18-7. The Lakers have the third best record in the West. Luka Doncic still leads the NBA in scoring with 34.7 points per game. The Rams will not have wide receiver Devontae Adams for Thursday night's showdown game at Seattle. Adams suffered a strained hamstring in Sunday's win over Detroit. The Rams are considering resting Adams for the final 3 regular season games to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us. KBLA Talk 1580. You know who's about to come on when you hear that song. He is one of the premier scholars in the nation and actually globally. He is the author of numerous books and scholarly articles. I want to say scores of them. He holds the Morse Professorship of History and African American Studies at the University of Houston. He's got his PhD from Columbia, his JD from UC Berkeley, and his BA from Princeton. Dr. Gerald Horne, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's always great to talk with you, and once again, I'm feeling the flooding of the zone apparently is working on me, Dr. Horne. I'm feeling very overwhelmed by all of the news and all of the stories. But I remember when we first started, early on when I started doing the trips to Africa, which we now are about to do trip number 8. You had mentioned the southern African nation of Zambia and said, well, you might want to put that on your list. Well, we're going there. We're going there this year. So
I just heard the commercial. I think that's wonderful. I noticed that you mentioned the waterfall, which used to be called Victoria Falls.
Right.
I've been there. It's quite a marvel. It's quite astonishing. It dwarfs Niagara Falls in New York-Canada border to a certain degree. So I envy those of you who will be landing in Lusaka.
We are going to Lusaka, and one of the reasons that I wanted to go there was because you said it, because I feel like, there's 54 countries. All of them have amazing things. Some of them are not geopolitically possible to travel to or wise to travel to at the moment. But I thought, well, if Dr. Horne thinks Zambia is dope, it's got to be dope.
Oh, yeah. I used to live next door to Zambia in Zimbabwe. And Zambia has quite a history. Recall that during the bad old days of apartheid and colonialism, it was the headquarters of many anti-colonial movements under the leadership of the late President Kenneth Kaunda, in particular, a founding father, who, quite remarkably, on the personal level, he was oftentimes open and shedding tears. As a matter of fact, he used to carry a handkerchief in his right hand at all times.
Kind of like Erica Kirk.
Oh, no. Don't insult the memory of the
I'm just playing.
Speaking of Erica Kirk, I hope you missed the special she did with Barry Weiss, the new leader of CBS News, on Saturday night.
I did miss this. You're kidding, right?
Well, it was quite a spectacle. But first of all, here you have Barry Weiss, who was plucked out of obscurity by David Ellison, the Nepo baby, the son of Larry Ellison, the second or third richest man in the world by Oracle, the software company. And, of course, he was able to buy Paramount and able to buy CBS News as a result. And in order to curry favor with Mr. Trump, he installed this neoconservative Barry Weiss, who totally is missing credentials. And now, contrary to the level of staffing, she's placed herself before the camera. She wants to be on television, which is quite unusual because executives usually stay behind the scenes. And so there she was alongside the too often broadcast Erica Kirk in terms of trying to beat the drums for conservatism.
Oh. I don't know if let me put it this way. What do you make of the way the consolidation is going right now? When I heard that Netflix was going to be buying Warner Brothers, I thought, well, at least Larry Ellison won't get a hold of CNN, right? Because I know that Paramount was also bidding on Warner Brothers. Now it looks like it could go either way, like Trump might intervene and the Ellisons may end up with Warner Brothers and all that involves, including CNN. It seems like an even greater consolidation of media and an even stronger move right for the mainstream media, especially with the proposed acquisition of TikTok. What are you making of all this, particularly as it pertains to the Ellisons?
Well, I'm afraid to say that the smart money might bet on the Ellisons picking up Warner Brothers Discovery over Netflix, even though the Netflix deal is probably better for shareholders. But the Ellisons have been currying favor with Mr. Trump, despite the fact that the younger Ellison had made donations to the Biden campaign. But since that time, he has been currying favor with Mr. Trump. Recall that the older Ellison appeared in the White House shortly after the inauguration and pledged to make significant investments in the United States of America. So this is not necessarily good news for the viewing public in terms of, although, interestingly enough, Mr. Trump likes the Rush Hour franchise. And so, at his suggestion, Rush Hour 4 will be at theaters soon.
Yeah, I also understand that Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, told the president that if he gets CNN, he'll fire Aaron Burnett and Breonna Keeler. I mean, you want to talk about petty. The president of the United States being lured into supporting one mega deal over another because of two ladies he doesn't like, that's diabolical.
Well, Mr. Trump is obviously on a retribution tour. In fact, there's a very revealing interview that just was dropped on the Vanity Fair website with Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, who talked about how she was trying to restrain Mr. Trump with regard to this retribution. She said that he should just concentrate on that issue in the first 3 months of his administration, then move on. But obviously, she said to judge her boss, this is going to be a theme until early 2029. And of course, you saw it quite remarkably in his insult of the memory of Rob Reiner.
That was crazy.
Director and actor and his spouse, both apparently, allegedly killed by their son. Mr. Trump made it all about himself. That is to say that they fell victim to so-called Trump derangement syndrome. And equally remarkable is the fact that many in the MAGA base have denounced this insult to the memory of the Reiners. And I would like to think that we may have turned the corner with regard to fretting about the rise of fascism, because the Trump base is decomposing. They're at each other's throats. Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning and is sounding more and more like leader of the opposition. You also see that the Hitler's cool faction of the Republican Party, led by Nick Fuentes, is at the throats of the pro-Zionist faction. Tucker Carlson is under attack. And so they're spending a lot of time fighting and squabbling amongst themselves, which means they have less time to attack us.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that you were going to say that because I do see the cracks in the wall there. But, you know, it seems like this guy always bounces back. This movement always bounces back. And so we shall see. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Horne. So many things to cover. Cannot wait to hear your thoughts on Venezuela, among other things. All that straight ahead. All this is coming up. If you have a question or comment, conversation, you can hop in the YouTube chat at KBLA 1580, or you are welcome to call us at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Dr. Horne, I mean, it can't, how are we not having more uproar about these boats, about these supposed drug boats that this country is bombing? Now, I understand we killed 8 more people yesterday. We're up to 90. Where we're just saying they're drug boats with no proof at all and bombing them. How is that legal?
Well, it's certainly illegal, particularly in international law, likely in domestic law. With regard to domestic law, keep in mind that this sets a dangerous precedent. It's the LAPD or LA Sheriff's Deputy comes up to an alleged drug dealer on the streets and shoots him through the forehead, for example, without any due process of law, without any hearing, without any indictment. And then there's the piracy. You saw that the U.S. authorities, they captured an oil tanker headed from Venezuela to Cuba, and now that oil tanker is headed to Houston, or already is in Houston. It is something else that's going on. But the good news is that in light of this new national security strategy document issued by the White House, it has alienated tremendously Canada, not to mention the Western European countries led by Germany. And I would like to think that those particular countries will now be reaching out to so-called dissident forces in the United States of America, which is nothing but good news.
Talking with Dr. Gerald Horne, and you're welcome in. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
I got the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates our own Keith Underwood, host of the weekend entertainment show Black in the Green Room, on his recent honor at the annual National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. Keith received a first place award presented by the Los Angeles Press Club for his entertainment reporting, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, Keith, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Thanks to Total Wine, you saved more on all the gifts for the ones you adore. Wine, spirits, beers, all nestled on shelves. Got some advice from our helpful elves. Oh, so many gifts to explore when you go to Total Wine and More. Bottles so delightful, whoa. Priced so amazingly low.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Malik Books on celebrating 35 years in business.
It's a celebration.
Malik Books proudly houses one of the largest African American and diverse children's books in the nation. This is the perfect time to pick up holiday reads, meaningful gifts, and to support literacy in our community. For 35 years, Malik Books has stood strong in the Black Book Revolution, uplifting stories that heal, inspire, and transform. One reader at a time. Change your thoughts, change your life. Books are the gift that keeps giving. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, congratulations to Malik Books on 35 years of culture, pride, and community.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
Talking with Dr. Gerald Horne. I know I'm a bit all over the place, but I'm always I have a little file in my brain that's the Ask Dr. Horne file. Ask Dr. Horne. In that file, last year we traveled, a year before last, we traveled to Tanzania. And it's one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. What is happening right now in Tanzania?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that they had elections a few weeks ago. The president, Samia Hassan, one of the few African leaders who happens to be a woman, cracked down heavily on the opposition and, by the way, won 95% plus of the vote. However, the turmoil continues. The folks are still trying to come to the streets despite the police brandishing arms as they march. So I would recommend staying away from Tanzania on this upcoming trip to Southern Africa.
Yeah, it's not planned for our trip. I was just, I was actually thinking I should move there. That's not, probably going to put that on hold.
You remember Geronimo Pratt, I'm sure.
Yes, that's one of the reasons I wanted to go there in the first place. Go ahead and say what you were going to say, yeah.
Well, after serving 2+ decades in prison, thanks to the late Johnny Cochran, he was able to garner a major judgment from the authorities because of the dirty tricks they played on him. And he immediately moved to Tanzania, where he joined another Panther, Pete O'Neill of Kansas City, who's been living there for decades. It's been a kind of outpost for many Black Americans in exile. And I haven't heard any news about how they're faring. Of course, Geronimo Pratt passed away some years ago.
Yeah. But I always thought, well, if this is where he wants to spend the rest of his life, take his judgment and go live here, there's got to be something to see. And yes, it's beautiful. I love it. But I was heartbroken to see the the problems there, especially since they do have a woman president and she's a hijabi and seems to be pretty popular, or at least she was.
Yeah, I'm not sure she was 95% plus popular, though.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that, especially when you don't allow your opposition to even run against you. That's a big problem. Okay, well, shall we talk about the extreme court?
Well, that's the problem with the United States right now. That is to say that, as noted, I think we may have turned the corner with regard to Mr. Trump flooding the zone, with regard to the danger of fascism. But as long as there is a 6-person conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court who are willing to give a thumbs up to whatever Mr. Trump proposes. Recall what happened a few months ago when Justice Brett Kavanaugh gave a thumbs up to saying that the authorities can pull over a person who has a certain kind of complexion on immigration grounds or speaks Spanish or speaks with an accent. This is quite remarkable. But once again, there's good news because the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, has recommended that there be a United Nations investigation of this sort of misdeed. And in fact, Brandon Johnson has also called for a general strike to protest what Mr. Trump is doing and what the High Court is doing. And so that's what gives me optimism.
You know, you do sound more optimistic than last time we talked. I will say that. But do you think we're anywhere near in a position where folks would participate in a general strike? I feel like these scattered boycotts that are happening right now, I'm not sure how impactful they are. We would need something like a general strike or targeted strikes, pun intended, because the target one does seem to be working.
Well, your reservation is justifiable. In order for a general strike to take place, the labor movement would have to be stronger than it is. Now, folks in Southern California may have a misleading impression because your labor movement, the LA County Federation of Labor, is relatively strong compared to the labor movement elsewhere. In the state of Texas and throughout Dixie, for example, labor is considered, or unions are considered, a 4-letter word. I mean, they're seen as something akin to communism, for example. So we need a stronger labor movement, although we could think of a strike that takes place in certain cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, especially New York, with incoming Mayor Mamdani, who has been notorious in walking picket lines, for example, with regard to Starbucks strikers, for example, and received maximum support from unions in New York City when he was able to win City Hall, despite the fact that he's only 34 years old and is a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yeah, you know, I have heard some people saying that they think the honeymoon is already over with him. They're mad with him because they wanted him to make stronger statements about Israel or stronger statements regarding, Cuba and Venezuela. And I wonder what you think about that, because in my opinion, he's a mayor. He's not a congressperson or a president. So the foreign policy, although interesting, doesn't necessarily make or break the agenda that he ran on about affordability. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, he hasn't taken office yet. He doesn't take office until January 1.
Right.
Second of all, he's taking office at a very fraught moment. You might have seen a column in the New York Times just the other day by the neoconservative Zionist Bret Stephens, who blames the killings in Sydney on Mr. Mamdani's invoking previously the slogan of globalize the Intifada. Mr. Mamdani was compelled, I think, to retain the present police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, who has not stood tall with regard to police killings. So I think what we need to realize is that it's justifiable and legitimate to make these criticisms of Mr. Mamdani even before he assumes office. But we should realize that there is a very powerful right-wing movement in New York City, which is very deeply entrenched, particularly deeply entrenched on Wall Street, in the New York Post, certain aspects of the New York Times as well.
So, I mean, you said the thing that's really giving you hope right now is one of those things is watching the crumbling of the MAGA sort of alliance. I don't know if you call it a coalition, really. How besides Marjorie Taylor Greene, where do you see that breaking down?
Well, as noted, there is the squabble between the pro-Zionist faction of MAGA and the anti-Netanyahu faction, represented by Benjamin Netanyahu. Of course, he has been under attack by Tucker Carlson, who in turn has been under attack by Mark Levin of Fox News. In the aforementioned interview with Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, she unveils the conflict between Secretary of State Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance. In fact, some right-wingers have said they would vote for Gavin Newsom over J.D. Vance simply because Gavin Newsom has a blonde wife.
I didn't see that. That's crazy.
J.D. Vance does not.
Identity politics. Well, by then he might be married to Erica Kirk, so we don't know.
Well, stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed. I mean, I'm always on my laugh to keep from crying stuff, but I don't. It sounds like I see it too. I see it online. I see it with the huge break on Israel, where a lot of the far right wing folks are saying that you're not putting America first. You're putting Israel first. You're putting Ukraine first. You're putting Argentina first. And I think the continued insistence that affordability is a scam is probably not a good look for him, because you can fool people about a lot of things, but we know what we pay for groceries when we go to the store. And so I think those are more cracks that I see in the MAGA wall of unity. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Horne and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. California Governor Pritzker is blasting President Trump for his reaction to the deaths of Hollywood filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife. The governor questioned why Trump would attack people whose families are suffering.
To have the President of the United States attacking them, I don't understand. I don't understand why the President has to do things like this. What is wrong with him?
On True Social, Trump said Reiner had a mind-crippling disease known as, quote, Trump derangement syndrome. Flu cases are on the rise. According to data released by CDC Friday, an estimated 2.9 million people have gotten sick this season, and more than 1,000 people have died. And the Powerball jackpot is rolling over. The jackpot jumps to $1.5 billion. The next drawing is Wednesday. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and most of all, being known, loved, and protected. There are thousands of kids waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A troubling season for the Clippers continues to generate more misery. They lost to Memphis last night, 121-103. Fourth straight loss for the Clippers, who now have lost 8 straight at home. The Clippers haven't won a home game since October 31st against New Orleans. The loss to Memphis drops the Clippers to 6-20. If it wasn't for a 5-22 New Orleans, the Clippers would be at the bottom of the Western Conference. The Lakers are off until Thursday night in Utah at 18-7. The Lakers have the third best record in the West. Luka Doncic still leads the NBA in scoring with 34.7 points per game. The Rams will not have wide receiver Devontae Adams for Thursday night's showdown game at Seattle. Adams suffered a strained hamstring in Sunday's win over Detroit. The Rams are considering resting Adams for the final 3 regular season games to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you coughing a lot, especially at night? Are you often short of breath? Are you using your rescue inhaler often? These could be signs that your asthma is not under control. To keep your asthma in check and help prevent an asthma attack, ask your healthcare provider for an asthma action plan. This is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medicines to help control your asthma and to use when you're having a hard time breathing or when you're having an asthma attack. Please don't wait until you're having an asthma attack. Do something about it now. Schedule a visit with your healthcare provider today to make that action plan and take control of your asthma. For more tips and resources on the management of asthma, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Man, we got a lot of things to go through in a little bit of time, so I'm going to go straight to the phone. Dr. Gerald Horne, Paul has a question for you. Paul, I'm going to ask you for the short version, if you would.
Of course. Good morning, Dr. Horne. Good morning, Dominique.
Good morning.
Just a quick question. You guys were discussing earlier the situation with Jasmine Crockett. Dr. Horne, can you and Dominique kind of give people just an overview of how bills work in Congress and who's in control of Congress and everything? Because I think that's an area of opportunity for our community that people can kind of be educated on to understand how bills are presented and everything. And I'll take my question off the line.
And just to put it in context for you, thank you, Paul. It's the conversation was about how social media is currently busy taking her down for her stances on Israel, and Kwamel likened it to the old Democratic circular firing squad she's getting attacked from the left and the right.
Well, that's unfortunate because, number one, in terms of the question, the Republicans control the House of Representatives, they control the Senate, they control the White House, and they have a majority on the Supreme Court. So it's very difficult for the opposition to push legislation through to the president's desk and then survive attack in the Supreme Court. Congresswoman Crockett is going to have an uphill climb in winning that Senate seat in the state of Texas. As you know, the Republicans have been dominant in Texas for decades now. She's running against the ethically challenged Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, and, of course, John Cornyn is the incumbent. So even if she survives the Democratic primary, which is not clear that she will, she'll have to go up against these formidable Republicans. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. When speaking of formidable Republicans and who's going to go up against who, it seems like an all-out cat fight has broken out between Gavin Newsom and Vice President Kamala Harris. I think it was sort of set off by her saying, kind of calling him out in her book, saying when she texted him that she was running, he said, hiking, we'll call later or something, and he never did, according to her.
Yeah, it's very interesting. As you know, their competition goes back to their days in San Francisco with her as district attorney and him as mayor, both basically mentored and tutored by the former mayor, Willie Brown, the first black mayor of San Francisco. Right now, Kamala Harris, despite the fact that she lost in 2024, she's doing quite well in terms of her book tour. Her book has sold tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of copies. And let me tell you, that's not normal or typical for an author to do so. So that suggests that she has a mass base. On the other hand, Governor Newsom is seen as the odds-on favorite to become the nominee because he is the leader of the most populous state, speaking of California, and the most affluent state, speaking of the Golden State. So before counting the chickens before they're hatched, do not rule out Governor Pritzker of Illinois, who happens to be a billionaire as well, and that might not necessarily discredit him, despite the fact that supposedly you have a billionaire in the Oval Office as we speak. And that's not to mention the other so-called dark horse candidates.
Yeah, great points all. And speaking of people switching sides, Nicki Minaj is now apparently a MAGA girlie. She, was used to be pretty critical of the president, and now they're playing her songs on the White House website, and she seems to be acting like she's a second vice president and attacking Newsom and others who come for the president.
Well, apparently she's bidding for a pardon for one of her loved ones. And as you know, Mr. Trump hands out pardons like they're confetti. And so there's a distinct chance that she will get that pardon. Now, what initially triggered her support for Mr. Trump and the MAGA base is Mr. Trump's random post the other day that he was considering moving into Nigeria with guns a-blazing, supposedly because of genocide committed against Christians. Apparently, that triggered something within Nicki Minaj, who happens to be of Trinidadian ancestry, and I've been worried about the impact of her comments on Trinidad, which, of course, has a very active and substantial population of Muslim descent, which, of course, they're being accused of committing this genocide in northern Nigeria, and, of course, has a large Christian population as well in Trinidad. And then, of course, Trinidad is also under fire because the government has been supportive of Mr. Trump's attacks on neighboring Venezuela. So Nicki Minaj has poked the stick into a hornet's nest, and I hope she doesn't get stung.
I was wondering if she's trying to get a pardon for her husband or her brother or somebody else. I mean, she got some loved ones. Maybe she can get a 3-pack of pardons.
Well, if she really wants a pardon, she should dig up some cryptocurrency or maybe buy Mr. Trump's crypto, which has been plummeting in the market. perhaps amass millions to make a campaign donation to its library.
Yeah.
Because he is for sale. That's clear.
It's amazing. He's suing BBC, I think, for $5 billion because he didn't like the way they edited his speech. They say they're fighting it in court. I don't think they're going to be quite as eager to kowtow like these U.S. networks have been doing.
Speaking of Disney, Burbank, not to mention CBS, not part of Paramount, they both collapsed like a house of cards when faced with the Trump lawsuit.
Yep.
And of course, we're going to have to really monitor CNN because given the fact that they're under fire, I'm beginning to wonder if they're going to curtail their explicit and implicit criticisms of Mr. Trump.
Well, I think they've already reeled it in a lot. You've got the can't think of his name right now. Scott, whatever his name is, that sits there with, on the panel show, and their guests have gotten much more far to the right. That's what I see. I feel like their guest lineups, what they used to call left is now center, and what they used to call center is now right. What they used to call right is now far right. I feel like they've adjusted the frame.
Well, I have to confess, if I were Abby Phillips or Van Jones or one of these other commentators on CNN, I'd be preparing a new resume. As a matter of fact, I might even send my resume to KBLA.
Van Jones might not need a new resume because he's been such an apologist for Republicans of late. The kind of commentary that he's made has kind of alienated him from his so-called base, or what used to be his base.
Well, I understand he's been the beneficiary of largesse from one Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Washington Post fame, and money can change one's mind.
Enough of it, huh? Okay, talk to me about this Turtle Island Liberation Group that supposedly had planned bombings. Turtle Island Liberation Front supposedly had planned bombings for here in Southern California on New Year's Eve. They were allegedly, according to the FBI, they were making bombs in the middle of nowhere. I'm not familiar with the group, and I feel like skeptical about anything coming out of this administration that labels anyone a terrorist. This is, of course, coming from Bill Asaley, the former assembly member in the state of California, who's now a prosecutor, another contested prosecutor under the Trump administration.
You are correct and justified in being skeptical, because recall what happened in Congress the other day when Congressman Benny Thompson of Mississippi was asking one of the administration officials about Antifa, and Benny Thompson was asking where are they headquartered.
That was hilarious.
The guy had no answer.
Right.
So we should be very skeptical of this prosecution, of this proposed indictment, because it's apparent that one of the major plays in the playbook of the right wing, and this is globally, not just in the United States of America, is to foment these so-called terrorist plots from the left, which then helps to justify a further crackdown on the left, putting people in trial. And even if you're acquitted or have the charges dismissed, I'm thinking of Attorney General Letitia James of New York State, or former FBI Director James Comey, you still have to dig deep into your bank account to hire lawyers, for example.
Yeah.
And once again, I really would point the audience to the interview with Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff of Mr. Trump, and her seeking to restrain him with regard to what she calls his retribution tour.
That's amazing. I mean, the fact that she has to bow down to the point of saying, well, couldn't we just make it the first 3 months? Like that's a plan. We'll focus on revenge for the first 3 months, and then we'll get to the business of running the country. That is wild to me. Dr. Horne, are you a Clippers fan? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I'm a fair weather Clippers fan. That is to say that since they dumped Chris Paul, the point guard, in the middle of the night, that really soured me on the Clippers, and not to mention their losing record, barely above New Orleans Pelicans in the standings. so count me as a fair weather fan.
So you were mad about that dumping. You think that what you didn't buy the excuse that he was what did they say, criticizing everybody on the team or sowing dissent?
Well, everybody knows that Chris Paul is something of a clubhouse lawyer. I mean, he gets in the face of the players, the coaches, the management, of the ball boy. I mean, that's just the way he is. And so they knew that's the way he is when they decided to sign him to a contract. And so all of a sudden, they're alienated and upset by his manner. But he did not reinvent himself. That's the way he's been for decades.
Yeah. It sounds like an excuse. Dr. Gerald Horne is my guest. We do have a lot to talk about. I'm hoping when we come forward you can enlighten us a little bit about what's going on in Somalia and with Somalians here. That was one of the conversations we had before you got on the phone, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Dr. Gerald Horne is one of our leading scholars. I also happen to know he reads at least 7 papers a day, cover to cover, and doesn't miss a story. KBLA, Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Days after the Eaton fire devastated entire neighborhoods in Pasadena and Altadena, Black Freedom Fund, an organization that invests in leaders and organizations transforming black communities, established the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. The Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund is supporting local organizations, providing direct resources to families, and making sure that recovery reflects the needs and voices of the people who live there. For many, the journey to rebuild is just beginning, and the Black Freedom Fund is committed to being with them every step of the way. Stand with Dina. Donate by texting Black LA to the number 707070. That's Black LA to 707070. Together, we can help our neighbors rebuild their homes, lives, and hope. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, with James Farr on KBLA, Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. The Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Dr. Gerald Horne is my guest, and he's one of our top scholars. You can find his books at a bookstore near you. You can find them on the Evil Empire of Amazon, or you can order directly from the publisher. You can find his lectures on YouTube. What else do we need to be finding of yours, Dr. Horne?
Well, I'm happy to say that my next book will be dropping in a few weeks. Speaking of the counter-revolution of 1893, the Hawaiian coup, and the roots of U.S. imperialism in the Asia-Pacific basin, there's a lot of California history. Because when the monarchy in Honolulu was overthrown, California's played a central role. So keep an eye peeled for that work in a few weeks.
Okay, say the name one more time, Dr. Horne. I was trying to write it down.
The short version is The Counter-Revolution of 1893. Obviously, it's the third part of a trilogy following the Counter-Revolution of 1776 on the origins of the United States, the Counter-Revolution of 1836 on Texas joining the United States, and now the Counter-Revolution of 1893 with Hawaii joining the United States.
Wow. Okay, well, I haven't caught up, but I'll get the books, and I know eventually I'll get through all of them. They're fascinating, all of Dr. Horne's books, and will make you definitely smarter, more historically sophisticated. Speaking of sophisticated, let's talk about Somalia. I mean, I know last month they declared a drought emergency. There's hunger going on. You've got sanctions because of Al-Shabaab, right, which is a terrorist group there. And now you've got Trump saying, targeting not just Somalis in the U.S., but talking smack about the country itself. And I also believe they have oil, right?
Well, Somalia is getting it from all sides. First of all, Somali Americans, who are heavily concentrated in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, represented by Congresswoman Omar, a frequent target of invective on the part of Mr. Trump himself. She feels that he needs help psychologically because of this fixation on her. He referred to the entire community as, quote, garbage, unquote. And, of course, Congresswoman Omar's son has been harassed by the immigration authorities in the Twin Cities. On the other side of the Atlantic, Somalia, the homeland, is bombarded on a regular basis by fighter jets from the United States of America. And the United States has more than an iota of complicity with regard to the descent of Somalia into chaos. That is to say, in the 1970s, Somalia was actually proceeding quite nicely, but the regime was enticed to attack neighboring Ethiopia after the downfall of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, and Somalia did not fare very well when they attacked their larger neighbor. Chaos and confusion ensued, creating refugees, many of whom wound up in the Twin Cities, including, of course, Congresswoman Omar. Now, what's interesting is that he calls Somalis and Somali Americans, quote, garbage, unquote, yet he opens the door for migration of Afrikaners, these Europeans from the tip of Africa, from South Africa, who are flooding into this country on the spurious charge that somehow they're being subjected to genocide, on the spurious charge that somehow they're being expropriated of their land, which actually should be taking place, but is not. And so it's not a good look for the United States of America, I'm afraid to say.
It's really not. And, the part that they're black and he's targeting now, people who are citizens through ICE and targeting a sitting lawmaker, a sitting congresswoman who already gets tons of death threats is worrisome. I just wondered, from the international angle, is there, what are we missing? Because, okay, number one, I think about Nigeria, right? And how he said they're gonna send troops to Nigeria because they're attacking Christians. Well, who's attacking Christians in Nigeria? Al-Qaeda, right? I mean, Boko Haram. And if you talk about Al-Shabaab, that's not the government of Somalia. That's a Islamist terror group, right? So how can you justify attacking the government of a group because of the policies of a terror group that is, terrorizing citizens? I don't see how you can justify that. Then somebody could attack the U.S. and say, well, they're attacking people in the World Trade Center or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't follow the dots here.
Well, there's something very shady with regard to the United States' relationship with these so-called Islamic fundamentalists. Recall that it was just a few days ago that Mr. Trump was praising and embracing in the Oval Office the man formerly known as al-Jawlani, now known as al-Shara, the de facto leader of Syria. He, of course, had a U.S. bounty on his head of millions of dollars because he headed an ISIS, al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria itself. It all goes back to this curious relationship the United States has with Saudi Arabia, with United Arab Emirates, with these Gulf monarchies who pour money into Africa, funding the so-called religious fundamentalists who have Mali under siege as we speak, have Burkina Faso under siege, have Niger under siege, have northern Nigeria under siege. And so rather than going to the source, which in many ways are these Gulf monarchs, he uses it as an excuse by which he can justify going into Nigeria guns a-blazing. He should be going into United Arab Emirates guns a-blazing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, and it is interesting that both, Somalia and Nigeria, although Nigeria to a much larger extent, and Venezuela all have oil. Could Senegal be next?
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
All have oil. And of course, Mr. Trump is cracking down on electric vehicles and forcing the big three, Ford and General Motors and what used to be Chrysler, into producing more gas-powered vehicles, which conflicts with the thrust of California, by the way.
Wow. We've got 30 seconds here. I got about 1 million more questions, but I'm going to say, what would you like to leave us with this morning, Dr. Horne?
Well, I would like to think that we've turned the corner with regard to the fight back against Mr. Trump. I mean, it's too soon to uncork the champagne bottles, but we should encourage this squabbling within MAGA, for example, because once again, to the extent that they're fighting each other, they have less energy to fight us.
Very well said, Dr. Gerald Horne. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us. I so appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's What's Up Next. Father Amdi joins us of the Watts Prophets. We got a lot to talk about.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. California Governor Pritzker is blasting President Trump for his reaction to the deaths of Hollywood filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife. The governor questioned why Trump would attack people whose families are suffering.
To have the President of the United States attacking them, I don't understand. I don't